I feel a lot of people could utilize a boost. They could use some motivation. And I realize that you do a lot of different stuff. You're lifting, you're doing these intense feats of strength, and you're out there doing all kinds of different stuff. How are you staying motivated?
What's slightly strange from when I was swimming around Great Britain, so for those who don't know, it was 157 days of just staring at the bottom of a seabed. So left alone with your own thoughts, there's not really much to do. You kind of have to just find yourself quite funny, tell yourself jokes. And one thing that I learned while swimming was this idea in Stoic philosophy. And a central theme of it was to control the controllables and accept the uncontrollables. And what they meant by that was just this idea of really making peace with the fact that sometimes you can't do much. We can't do anything about the coronavirus. Unless we are politicians, we can't do anything about government legislation. So they're accepting the uncontrollables. But what is within our control right now is your training. Like, what can you drill down on? And I think certainly, speaking to you guys as foremost experts in strength training, it's looking at things like mobility, things that you probably neglected outside. Overhead mobility, that's one thing that I'm working on at the moment. Anaerobic threshold, things that I perhaps neglected but are now within my control. But that's essentially how I'm coping. I'm looking at what I can control. And judging by the size of your biceps, Mark, you're probably doing the same as well while in isolation.
Yeah, I've been training hard and doing exactly what you're talking about, trying to focus on something a little bit different than what I'm used to, trying to find something new. And what I like to share with a lot of people is that motivation is where your level of interest lies. So where your level of interest is, it'll be easy to be motivated for that. If you have a level of interest to be really super lean, then you'll probably have the level of interest that follows that, meaning like that you're going to eat really well and train hard and things like that.
That's exactly it. For me, it's been a bit of a blessing. So like at the moment, for instance, I'm doing a lot of brachiating. So for me right now, I'm sitting in a squat rack and doing hours of internal and external rotation and hanging from the bar. If I did that in a normal gym outside, people would be like, what are you doing, dude? Like, get out the squat rack. I need to use it. You're just hanging from it. So I think one thing that's quite nice is, that is something now that I can drill down on. And I think if, and when we come out of isolation, I want these bulletproof rotator cuffs. And I think that's one thing that's nice. Again, far more about this than me, but in powerlifting, if you suffer from poor ankle mobility and you're constantly lifting in Olympic lifting shoes, that might be something to address. And never are we going to be offered the chance to drill down on that like we're being given now. So I love what you said about motivation, Mark. Use that when you come out of isolation. You might not be just some beast who's, throwing around benching 200 kilos. No, but you might have incredible, bulletproof shoulders. And I think that's one thing that I'm using at the moment.
Ross, have you ever seen a sports psychologist or maybe even practice as one? Because a lot of the stuff you're saying right now is extremely powerful. The treat your body like an instrument, not an ornament, I think is very impactful at a time like this when people can't hit the gym and they kind of don't even have their own identity all of a sudden because they were the power lifter or they were the bodybuilder and now they're the yoga master or whatever it may be. But where does some of this knowledge or some of this, intellectual property that you have come from?
Oh, thank you, mate. No, that means a lot. I think a lot of it though was just I had a lot of time with my own thoughts. So I swam for 12 hours a day for 157 days. So it worked out for 2 months. I was literally just left alone thinking, how do you continually keep going? So it's strange that a lot of the principles, I mentioned before that I read a lot of Stoicism, but I think one thing that really got me through it was, for those who don't know, there's a term, the Stockdale Paradox. So Admiral Stockdale, incredible story, was a prisoner of war, tortured in Vietnam. The one thing that he spoke about was watching other people come into the concentration camps. They lived in hope. So they would be saying like, this is going to be over in a week. It's going to be over in a week. A week would come, a week would go, and they'd still be there. They'd crumble mentally. But it's going to be over by Christmas. We'll be out by Christmas. Christmas comes, Christmas goes. They would crumble again. And it's this idea, they call it the Stockdale Paradox, because he spoke about this idea of One, never losing sight of hope. So on the Great British Swim, I was like, this will be over. If I keep putting one arm in front of the other, this will be over. I will eventually swim around Great Britain if I just keep doing that. It will be over, all of it. But equally, at the same time, you cannot, and you absolutely cannot not face up to your current reality. So it's this, they call it the Stockdale Paradox, because it's this idea, don't lose sight of hope, but also face up to your current reality. It's like, hang on, how do you do that at the same time? And I think a lot of people can probably take inspiration from that right now with your training. It's this idea of saying, well, hang on, how long do I need to drill shoulder mobility? You know, like using Mark as an example. Mark's like, how long do I have to keep doing shoulder mobility before I can go out and just start throwing around big weights again? And it's just like, Mark, like, this is your current reality now, so face up to it, but also at some point it will be over. And it's a Stockdale Paradox. It's very hard. It's a very strange mindset to be in. But for me, people, when they came to the boat, friends and family, they'll be like, oh, how's Ross doing? And those close to me were like, he's absolutely fine, because he's made peace with the fact that life now is swimming for 12 hours a day in a wetsuit that smells of urine, with jellyfish tentacles hanging off your face. You know, that was life. It was fine. It will be over, but it's also okay. It's not so bad. It's all right. And so, sorry, to answer your question, I think that's one thing that right now hopefully can help people. Because I love what you said, Andrew, there about some people feeling that their identity's been removed. You know, I was a powerlifter, I was a CrossFit, I was a swimmer. And right now I'm certainly, you know, not a swimmer. But I know that time will come again when I will be swimming, so I can't lose sight of hope. But right now, my current reality is building bulletproof rotator cuffs. And I think everyone controlling the controllables can think like that. There's everybody watching this. There'll be something that you can do now from isolation and lockdown that will make you a better athlete when you get out, that you've neglected. You know, like I can't sit in a squat rack, and I never have done, doing hours of rotator cuff work. Like I just haven't done it, but now I actually, you know, can. And I think identifying that, everyone will have something. I think, you know, to touch upon what you're saying, you know, I'm a big believer in, you know, trying to be rational, you know, try to be rational about things. So you face up to, you know, what's in front of you, face up to the situation that you're in. I think it's great to be hopeful, but I also think that another paradox in there, which might kind of fit in there somewhere, is just to live a life with not a lot of expectations. You know, I think we expect certain things to be a certain way, and something I've been trying to share on social media, but I'm not sure if everyone's understanding it, is that really, you know, this virus is around us, and this virus is killing people. But really nothing has changed in the sense that all you can control is your thoughts. And this goes back to something you said earlier. The only thing you can control is the way that you interpret things, the way that you interpret what you see, the way that you interpret what you hear. And you could have every little thing trigger you and set you off, you know, going down the wrong path. And you can act irrational or act irresponsible towards the different things that you hear. But I think it's really, really important that people, it's been helpful to me, I'll just say, that, you know, living a life with low expectations, living a life with next to no expectations. It doesn't mean that I think every day is going to be bad. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it's more about, and you hear this often, but I believe that this is what this actually means. I don't think anybody knows what it means. You're trying just to live in the present moment, because that is literally all that we have, and it is the only thing that you have control over. You know, the movie theater wasn't always there. Like, you thought the movie theater was always there, but it wasn't. It could shut down. It could burn down. Your car, you know, you think it's a reliable vehicle, the tire could pop, you know, the transmission can blow out, or, you know, all these things that we probably really just took for granted, you know, they can be taken away at any time. And look what's happened. They have gotten taken away. And then I think a lot of people are ending up depressed, and they're saddened by it. And I think the reason why they're so saddened by it is because they had expectations that it was going to be there. I think in addition to that, they're left with their own thoughts.
and they're left kind of, you know, twiddling their thumbs trying to figure out what to do next. And there's a lot of other people that have said, hey, look, this is actually a cool opportunity. That's what I'm seeing more of, which is really, really cool, especially in the fitness community. I see people lifting with paint buckets and trying to figure out whatever way they can to, you know, to do the best they can with each and every day that we have.